So I did make a video right over here. The last thing we should do is cancel your trip to Maui. You got a trip to Maui, go, okay? Their whole economy is built on tourism. Come to the island, support local businesses, and donate directly to the people. They are relentless, these people in Lahaina. They are Lahaina strong. And I'm going to just show you a quick video. Now this, Jimmy, I went 2 hours and 2.5 hour drive away to Hana, right? And why did I go to Hana? Because I want to see how tourism was affected on the whole island. This is almost 3 hours away from Lahaina, a drive.
So you're on the other side of the
other side of Maui. And this is what I experienced. And I talked to the people there, the locals there who are doing business. Take a look. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Craig, Pasta Jardula here in Hana, which is actually on the other side of the island. Why do we come here? It means other side from Lahaina. This is Hana. Why do we come here? Well, good question. Because people had told us that the day after the fire, the governor told people that the island is pretty much closed. So even 2.5 hour car ride away, it's affected over here. You can see right now, there's like no lines at the coffee shop. There's nobody in there. There's nobody over there. These people told me they want you to come. Tourism, even on the other side of the island, is majorly affected. So if you have a trip planned, you got to come. Don't cancel it. Come down to Maui. They want you here. Come to Hana. You can actually get the beach to yourself here. There's beautiful waterfalls, the whole 9 yards. But the government and the governor said, don't come. We had a tragedy. And some people are saying business is down almost 99%. You can see the coconut guy over there. He's kind of with a couple people. He said he would sell so many coconuts on a holiday. But today, this holiday here, it's not time for happiness because the locals and the indigenous people are very, very nervous. They need your help. They want to stay here. They don't want to become slave laborers on the mainland. So it's up to us to help them out. We can talk about everything from the cows came home on how this fire started, the response. Right now it's up to us to help these people. So come to Maui. Bring your cashola. Come have a good time. Yeah, like I talked to the guy who cooks ribs up there. I talked to the coffee people. I talked to the people who cut coconuts, everything. They're like, and they're nervous, Jimmy, because in COVID, business was down. The island was shut down sometime. But at least they saw a little assistance coming their way. That $700 or that $1,200 there or whatever. And maybe, I don't know what happened with their housing situation, but that's not the case right now. They are extremely nervous. They are extremely scared because it is just shut down on the whole island. So that's why I encourage people. You know, the New York Times has now put this article, oh, Maui's open. When you go by the airport, Jimmy, there are lots of just cars that would normally be on the road, rent-a-cars that are all there. And the rent-a-cars are ridiculously cheap. It cost me less than $200 to rent a car for my whole time there. And the plane tickets, cheap as can be. The Airbnb is a little bit pricey because of the people living in there, the crisis actors, and then some of the, not the crisis actors, the people who are living through the crisis and the people who are working for the crisis companies. But other than that, it's pretty cheap, and people should go to Maui or donate directly to the people. And by the way, I put this up over here. This is the third part we learned. The people of Maui are leaders in how a community should pull together in a time of crisis. And I've witnessed other collective communities pull together to defeat a common enemy or obtain a common goal, but never before have I seen anything like I witnessed in Lahaina. The locals pulled together despite their national organizations and the government dragging their feet and gave aid directly to their neighbors with the basic resources and requirements that it takes to stop the bleeding. Jimmy, this is something incredible I saw. I got a little video here real quick just showing these mutual aid camps. I visited two of them just north of Lahaina. One's about 5 miles, one's about 6 miles away. But instead of waiting for the Red Cross or FEMA to come save them, they just jumped into action themselves and got things done. Going to a beach where they're actually going to be having some mutual aid set up. Hanakawai, I believe it's called. And it's just a little bit north of Lahaina. And we've talked about on this trip so many times before the way, you know, FEMA has just dropped the ball. The government has dropped the ball on the response, the emergency response. But the locals have been able to take care of each other. You know, that's the most amazing thing I'm pulling out of this whole situation. The locals take care of each other. So we're going to go to a beach, which is just a little bit north of Lahaina, that they set up a mutual aid camp. and we're going to go check it out and talk to some of the people there and see what they're doing. Check it out.
So this is not supposed to be something that's looking dirty. We want it to look better than any government official could set up, and it's already been looking better. Our organization's better, our communication's better. The only thing we don't have are lack of funds. So the government's got all of the funds, but they won't give us anything. They won't promote us in any way. We're outsourcing all 100%. Like Kahana Canoe Club donated this tent. Maui Rents donated this tent. We had another organization donate their tent. So everything's 100% community donations and organized.
Yeah, honest stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so every day we've got hot meals coming out at least 3 times a day.
Three times a day.
At least 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 4:30.
Where's most of the food coming from?
This is all, well, actually, so we've organized now with Cisco and the Maui Food Bank to make deliveries and drops for us.
It smells amazing, and I'm looking at the menu. Pad Thai. Look at this over here. Catch that menu over there.
Yeah.
Pad Thai, veggie fried rice, barbecue chicken, red curry chicken.
Yep.
How long in your mind do you think you guys are going to be set up here before you can move on?
As long as our community needs us.
Cool.
As long as our community needs us.
So this is the kitchen. This seems like to be the canned goods section and stuff like that. Who's coming in and mainly grabbing the stuff? Like, are these people like locals that have just
all
lost,
locals,
just coming on in and like
100% local. As long as our community can survive here.
Yeah.
That's as long as we really need to and want to be here. We're not trying to take over any government or anything like that, but I think that the government's afraid at how fast and efficient and good we are at doing this, so that the people are starting to realize we don't need the government. We don't need.
That's the problem. This is
Yeah.
the keiki corner. Keiki means kids, right here.
Keiki, yeah. So Keiki means kids.
How you doing, my friend?
We've got volunteers that are volunteering their time day in, day out. We've got like a little library over here. We actually, I can't remember the name of it. Shoot, it's like a digital science bus.
Yeah.
Which has been really awesome. So we get them to drive into the park, and the kids go in, and it's all digitally set up in this school bus. But the kids seem to have a blast with that kind of stuff. But hands-on learning, we're doing book learning. We're trying to focus on maybe creating something for the kids, so they don't need to pass through all of that trauma that they escaped.
Yeah.
With that being the fire, because a lot of kids are transferring over to Kihei and the other side of the island, and so 5 days a week they need to be reminded of what they ran away from and tried to escape.
Yeah. You can see like this is their household item over here. You got soap, wow, shampoo, gels, hair, toothpaste, deodorant. Over here, everything's nice and bagged, help you out. More soap, shampoo, razors, the whole 9 yards. Some care relief, a lot of women's products over here. Got everything set up, man. It's awesome. Formulas, diapers, bottles, baby food, drinks, the whole 9 yards.
They even had a pet section too as well.
Oh, really? That's
like
great.
Everything there. Just and that's what I'm talking. I'm telling people donate directly. They're the Hana Kauai Relief Fund. This is on Give Send Go. I know it's hard to say the word Hana Kauai. I had a hard time saying a lot of the words, Jimmy, but that's it. And that's what I'm telling people. I have about 3 other donation links that I'll be talking about for the next week or so, and where you can donate directly to the people. This is the most effective way, ladies and gentlemen. And you heard Capono say, I think that's what's getting on over here. The Red Cross and the FEMA, they're starting to get a little bit jealous of sorts and nervous in ways, and they're like, well, what's going on here? I don't know how long they're going to allow them to operate, and that's why I asked him the question, how long do you think you're going to be set up? And he said as long as it takes. But as we know, eventually the government's going to come in and say, you have to close up shop. Here's the last thing I learned, and one of the most important things I learned about what I witnessed in Lahaina. The citizens of Maui, but specifically Lahaina, are dealing with an incredible amount of trauma. For some, they haven't even mentally processed it yet. They're not ready to talk about it, especially on camera. Some of the people who've lost loved ones, homes, businesses, and have thrusted themselves into this whole relief process, aiding others, meanwhile burying that trauma away from their consciousness, only to be dealt with down the road. You can see it in their faces, excuse me. These people have been hurt in a deep, dark, way. And I was there 3 weeks after the fire, and for some people might think that's a little bit late in getting to the party. We're actually early because the people have not yet begun to talk about what they've witnessed. And I saw some of the people picking up supplies and things they need at these mutual aid camps, and they can barely look anybody in the eye. They're hurting in a very serious way. Can you imagine just leaving one day and your livelihood, your house where you grew up, your parents grew up, and there's a lot of families of generations that live there in Lahaina, and you just leave one day to go to work, and then when you try to go back, you're not allowed to go into that area. You don't know for days what happened, and eventually told you, well, you can't go back in there. Everything's gone. The mindset of what's going on, their whole livelihood, it is gone. I was able to get this video from somebody walking down the street. This was the day after because his structure was still up, so he was able to walk there. But look at this. This is just a quick, short, 30-second video, and you can see like everything just devastated. It almost looks like a Nagasaki or Hiroshima, what we saw.
For reference, this is Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Not there no more.
Looking back on Front Street towards Bubblegums. Looking down the street the other direction, oceanfront.
So that's inside the burn zone or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's what I witnessed. That's what I was able to capture. I brought a camera guy, so I'm going to have like a nice little documentary made that we're working on. But I talked to as many people as I can, locals, the whole 9 yards, and there's a lot of work to do. And I said that the best suggestion, if you can go to Maui, go to Maui. If you can't, I put up a mutual aid link. Go over there and give money directly to the people because that's the way we're going to help them. But their story hasn't been told yet, Jimmy. It's going to just unravel in front of us. Like I said, once they close these mutual aid camps, what are these people going to do with their lives? They're going to have to deal with the devastation that was just brought upon them. And
it's amazing the lack of government assistance, and it's amazing the lack. It's like the politicians have been told by somebody, don't worry about taking care of the people. Don't worry what happens to your career. Yeah. Don't worry if they hate you and you're never elected again. Don't worry because we're going to take care of you. So just don't do anything for them. It seems like that is what's happening. Yeah. What is if there's another excuse for what's happening? I'd love to hear it. But it seems like they've been promised something from someone who wants this land grab to happen, and that's what it seems like is going on. Joe Biden doesn't give a hell. No. The Democrats don't care about these people, Joe Biden, but they certainly care about those poor people in Ukraine. Isn't it amazing?
I know, and that's why I had to go because like the mainstream media was closing up shop and moving on. What's going on? You can't just close a shop.
Yeah, so the establishment isn't interested in this. So this is very suspect. Yeah, and so I'm sure it will spur lots of theories for a long time about what actually happened and what is actually going on. And we're going to see what happens to those people's property. And it doesn't seem like. It seems like there's a crime being committed against those people right now, and it's happening right out in the open, and nobody cares from top to bottom, from the president of the United States to the president of CNN to the head of the New York Times. No one cares about what's happening there at all, and no one's being pilloried. Nobody's there. Who's the bad guy in this? Why? Usually the media finds a bad guy, like Heck of a Job Brownie and all that stuff. They're not doing that here. There's no bad guy. And so they're not even acknowledging that there's a screwy problem right now. From as far as I can tell, the establishment media isn't even acknowledging that there's a problem, let alone that there's a bad guy to blame for it.
Yeah. Well, let me just say two things in closing real quick so we can put a bow on this. The first thing is not all the citizens that I've talked to, the one thing that really disgusts them is they feel that the government and the mainstream media are downplaying the number of lives lost. They're this whole like 150 dead and 300 or 400 missing or whatever it is. They're now changing that kind of rhetoric to unaccounted for because we understand right now they're not missing. They're not hiding in the woods or the water. More than likely, they're just haven't been identified and they're dead. But they think it's close to the thousands because there was tourists down there hanging out. They were blocked in. There was no warning. And all of a sudden they're gone. And finally, the last thing, Jimmy, I just want to say this too as well because somebody sent me a tweet. Was talking about a certain reporter that went out there and they're like, well, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. This is the long game they're playing over here. It was a long time leading up to the conditions which allowed this to happen, and it's going to be a long time in the courts and in the city council meetings, in the legislation of how things unfold over here and the agenda moving forward. A crisis expert told me it's going to be 3 years before they even break ground. Now, can you imagine between now and then the poor Lahaina citizen who's paying rent somewhere else? They're never going to get a chance to get back into their household. And I've said this to somebody, like, they're not going to go back. A lot of these people are going to be thrusted away and have to move and have to come to the mainland and do the shitty jobs over here. But the one hope I do have is that these people from Lahaina, they got grit. They got more guts than fish. They are really strong, and they're not going to go down without a fight. So this story is going to be told over the next couple of years, and it's going to take the local journalists over there, activists, to keep us informed and for us to just stay on top of it. But it's not going to be a quick fix. There's not going to be like, oh, we got you now. It's not. This is the long game, and like you said, it seems like everybody's involved with it. And when it's that way, it's a conspiracy. It's a cartel. It's going to take a long time for us to figure this stuff out.
Hey, so come see us live on tour. We're going to be in Detroit, that's Rochester, Michigan, Tampa, Boca Raton, Orlando, Dallas, Houston, San Diego, Bloomington, Illinois, where I went to college, Indianapolis, Levittown, New York, and Red Bank, New Jersey. Go to jimmydore.com for a list of all those shows.